healthcare is very special. It takes people that are very compassionate, are very calm, quiet, because you deal a lot. You deal a lot with patients that are very difficult.
Hey there, dental economist. If you're a dentist owner or a leader within a dental business thinking about growing production, case acceptance, patient and staff satisfaction, positive outcomes, and everything else that comes with running a dental business, then you're a dental economist, and you've come to the right place. Welcome to the Dental Economist Show. We're meeting at the intersection of profit and purpose as I sit down with dental leaders who share their stories about dentistry, business, and growth. Welcome back to another episode of the Dental Economist Show with me, Mike Huffaker. Today, we have Randa Seif, the COO of CaliDental. Randa was actually the first ever episode of the Dental Economist Show, which aired the first week of January in 2024. CaliDental is a premier family and cosmetic dental practice. There's locations in Santa Maria, San Luis Obispo, Lompoc, and Bakersfield. And we had a really great conversation the first time that we recorded together. And I was really excited to bring Randa back for kind of the end cap of the year, since she is the one that graciously volunteered to be the guinea pig for the first ever episode of our show. So, Randa, it is so nice to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you, Mike. Nice to see you too. And thank you for having me. It's very exciting. The first time was a great experience, so hopefully today will be even greater.
I hope so. So I was reflecting a little the first time that we did this, and you and I jumped on the call the night before. You're like, what are we talking about? And I said, I don't know. We'll talk about your practices, building culture. We'll talk about your teams, kind of what your goals are. And you were a great sport. And I'd like to kind of talk about some of those things also today. So at the beginning of the year, you talked about growth and some of the plans that you all had at CaliDental. I think you, like we probably all do, as the year ends, you start to kind of reflect on what the year contained and the good, the bad, the wins, the challenges, and also think about what you want to accomplish in the following year. Maybe catch us up to speed on what you guys accomplished in 2024 at CaliDental.
Yes, actually, it was, I think, a long year and I wanted to be done. So we can start with 2025. But I think we've done okay so far. I mean, last year, I don't remember when I spoke to you if it was that we had added almost 4 locations towards the end of 2023. So 2024, it was mainly to make sure those 4 newer practices are doing well. They were established within the community. The word is out. Do we have enough providers in the office, staff, specialty? And I think what we've done really, really well is having a specialty included in almost all of the locations we have. So right now, we don't only have general dentistry and orthodontics. We have added oral surgery. We have added implants. We have added pediatrics. And this is something we are really, really excited about because, as you know, we are in rural city where patients of our demographic, unfortunately, don't have easy access to specialty, and specialty that covers dental patients. So, I mean, we're very glad that we at least can offer this to our patients.
Yeah, that's great. I remember we talked about that, about how CaliDental practices really become part of the community, and you attract providers that are desiring of making that connection, where it's appealing to go open up a new practice, be able to launch it and become really ingrained in a lot of underserved areas. So when you added specialty, I'm curious because I've now spoken to a number of people over the past year about the strategy or approach in doing so. And it sounds like you've incorporated specialty into your existing practices. Is this with dentists that travel between locations? Is it adding new procedures and the existing providers starting to expand their offering themselves? How do you go about in kind of incorporating new specialties into your practice?
Very interesting question. So it's a mix of both. Some locations, depending, like oral surgery, we're hiring outside doctors to travel. It takes a very long time to be really proficient at extracting teeth really, really quickly with very little anesthesia. So Most of the time, oral surgery, I would say 90% of our offices, we have someone outside coming. They could be covering one location or two, or it could be that they just come for this location and they go back a couple of days a month, and then they go back the next month. Implant, for example, we kind of split it into two. So what we did, we gave internal training with one of our partners to train. We trained actually, I think, almost 18 general dentists to provide implants, at least simple implants that could be quickly done, very fast, and that we can at least unblock some of the cosmetic issues of our patients. So our general dentists were able to go through this training, and actually it's something that they started doing, and they're going to start getting into more complex cases in Q1 of 2025. Pediatric, we just got someone from outside because you need specific training. You have to go through the pediatric board, and you have to have some of them, they offer moderate sedation. So it's a very long process to get one of our general dentists to do it. So we do have outside pediatric dentist covering. So it's kind of a mix of whatever we can help our dentists to get to the next level. If not, we go get outside skills.
Awesome. So I want to dive into both of those kind of use cases a little bit more. Let's start with the oral surgeons, the pediatric dentistry, and bringing somebody from the outside. So CaliDental is branded. All of your practices, they're branded CaliDental. The reputation within the community is incredibly important. I know that when you are finding doctors to work in your different practices, that you are very thorough in kind of the process to determine who's going to be a good fit and if it's going to be a good fit on both sides. So when you start to look to bring people in from the outside, is there a worry at all that your brand reputation could be at stake? How do you mitigate that? And what is your approach to ensuring that you can maintain kind of that culture or the feel that your patients get when they walk into your practice normally with folks that are not necessarily full-time part of your organization?
So if you look at our pool of doctors coming from outside, I think they are 80% internal referrals. And this is a big advantage we have because usually people, the first thing they will do, they will refer people that are like them. They will not go and refer. They don't want to have a bad situation that I'm referring you a doctor end up being not good, because then they'll be like, oh, like, I don't want to feel bad with my employer. So they will refer you people that are like them. And if they're already working with us, that means we share the same culture, the same mission, the same values. And this got a lot of stress because we kind of already know them through whomever referred them. And it's a big advantage. You don't have to struggle. You already have someone that tell you about them. And the other 20%, I mean, they go through, I would say, at least 3 rounds of interviews. One, they go through the CEO, they go with the recruiter, they go with the office, either with me or one of the partners. We kind of see how they interact with staff. We get them to visit the location. We answer their questions. I mean, we try. And so far, it's been working out. You know, for someone to be willing to go out of their way for these communities, they don't want to waste their time, right? Like, even they're looking for a good fit. If it's not a good fit, they're not going to go the extra mile. So it's important for them and for us to be winners. And so far, it's been, thank God, it's been working out.
Yeah, that's great. 80% then referred from existing CaliDental employees. We try to do that a lot at Planet DDS as well. We kind of have the notion of good people know good people. And so that is one of the best kind of vetting criteria you can have, is if somebody is willing to attach their name to a referral who already has a role within the organization. Taking a step to the implant piece. So I think you mentioned 16 doctors that you were getting trained or that you were putting through some advanced training. Did I hear that right?
I think it was between 15 to 18 with 18 doctors.
Okay. And you mentioned that kind of as you look towards the future, there will be a plan to help support them in taking on more complex cases. How did you put the program together initially to do the training? Did you bring in outside resources? Was this through doctors that you already have on staff that have been trained to have more experience in doing implants? Talk me through how that works.
So we partnered with basically our vendor. I mean, we're not going to recreate the wheel. They already have a solid program. They already have good instructors in place. And actually, our doctors got CE for it. And then the cost was very low because we're trying to educate them all and we were able to secure it at a very good price. I mean, they probably did that for at least 3 months that they were able to consistently get lectures, they get clinic and work done so they can get some practice. And it was mainly the work was done by our vendor partner because we kind of wanted someone that is already in this world to take over. And obviously, our clinical officer is helping with this. But it's mainly, it was on the vendor partner to organize it and put it all together for us. They did a great job, I think.
That makes sense. Now, this might be a silly question. I don't know. To me, when I hear about something like that, like enhancing your skill and learning new techniques, and it would seem like for some, it might be intimidating. And then you might have others that just kind of like go after it all in. They're fully bought in from the get-go. Do you see that where there's like a blend of desire to complete implants? Or is it where almost everybody kind of understands the opportunity that that presents and the ability to better serve their patients and are totally on board with the approach?
So let me tell you how we mitigate this. It's two things. Dentists, first of all, they do not like to talk about financials. It is not something they're comfortable with. And we understand that this is not something they're good at. This is not where their value is proposing a treatment plan to the patient and having a good relationship with them, then answer their questions. And this is where we explain that, yes, we understand implants are expensive, but we will explain to the patient, like, hey, these are the financials options you have, and this is what we can do, this is what we cannot do. So it's a big relief for them because you have most of the dentists, they cannot do that. The other thing is liability. One of the things that stops dentists from providing more, I would say, risky procedures is how liable I am. What is the risk of the implant failing? And this is a reality, right? Like, I'm not sure, what other dentists, usually the failure rate could be from 1 to 5%, depending on how good the dentist is and how experienced and how risky they're trying to go. The way we found out that we're gonna almost remove liability from all our dentists is to use a surgical guide, meaning you're not drilling, you're not just taking the drill, because we have dentists, because they're super, super experienced. They literally take the drill and drill it and place the implant just by visually controlling where you're drilling using the CBCT. However, by using surgical guides, all you have to do, you do the CBCT, you say, this is where I want the implant to be, and the AI behind it does all the work for you. So as a dentist, what is your role in all this is basically just to put a good treatment plan together, explain it to the patient, give them a couple of options. If they pick the implant, good. Then all you have to do is just start the process, and the process runs by itself. So because they don't have much pressure, neither explaining the financial, and you don't have really a clinical risk, so it facilitates everything around them. So you're not anymore relying on, am I a go-getter to go get it done? Or am I just, yeah, I think the patient needs it, but I don't want to do the extra steps. So we eliminated all that so they don't even have to think about it.
Now, without sharing exactly, I'm sure you guys have your contracts and everything else, but what is the structure of how you monetize and still receive a benefit for the practice when you are contracting with outside resources, like for oral surgery or for pediatrics? Is it built as some type of rev share? Like, how do you structure those so it's beneficial for all parties involved?
Every doctor that does work on the patient gets their specific compensation depending if they're a general dentist, if they're orthodontist, if they're pediatrics, but they do not share any revenue. So if, let's say, I'm a general dentist and I'm doing the work as a general dentist, if I refer them out to a pediatric, so when the pediatric dentist comes and does the work, he will be compensated for the work done on this patient. When he's done, then let's say the checkup and the recall, they go back to the general dentist. So they each have separate compensations, but they're all treated as partners. So it's not like a profit sharing revenue kind of formula, but it's mainly based on conversation on percentages. I'm not going to share all the percentages with you, but we're very generous with our doctors to make sure they do a good job.
Yeah. Now, have you seen a meaningful financial benefit to the business since incorporating all of these specialties throughout the course of the year?
Of course. Listen, if you can offer all the treatment to the patient under one roof, why not? I think one main thing that we care about is retaining the patient to stay in the practice. If you make the patient life easier, they would like you more. This is one thing we worry about because I can tell you there is one specialty we don't even make money out of it, and it's general anesthesia, because some of our pediatric dentists, they do put kids under general anesthesia and we don't even make money out of it. We just went into it knowing that we don't want to make money. So we bring them, we give them all the profit to them, and it doesn't just take care of the patient because it's a very tricky specialty when you put kids or any patient to sleep. So we always care about providing them the same work under the same roof. And of course, if we make money, that we want to make money out of every specialty, but we're very aware of where you should be pursuing the extra profit and where we say, you know what, like, I'm fine. I don't want it as long as my patients are happy and they're well taken care of.
Yeah, I was talking to a lot of people this year, and it seemed like this year for many was a challenging year as it related to growth. And of course, there's the production growth that you can have, but then that is oftentimes offset by inflation, lower reimbursements, other economic headwinds that you face, high interest rates, all of that. What we've seen over the course of the year is that Q1 of last year was pretty challenging, got a little better in Q2, got a little better in Q3. And like we've seen a gradual kind of like improvement. As you kind of reflect on 2024 and like look at 2025, are you feeling bullish about kind of the health of the business, the opportunities that you have presented in front of you, and the direction that the things are going, maybe even more high level just in dentistry, but you can also take it to CaliDental? How are your thoughts from a business financial side?
Our business is a little bit different because we mainly work with Dentical. I wouldn't say this year, we haven't seen any recession, to be honest, in the business. Our patients mainly are covered through Dentical. So they come. What we have seen, a lot of patients are getting more sick. This is what actually we've seen in mainly Q3, Q4, is that COVID came back. We had heavy locations that patients are very sick. Pneumonia has been a very big concern as well in the communities. So it was mainly more sickness than, I would say, financial burden on the patients. I think patients are more careful when and when not to spend money. That is for sure. But however, our business is less than 20% cash flow. So the impact for us hasn't been a lot, but is there an impact overall on dentistry? Yes. I think patients, they're being very, very careful on when they're spending, and maybe the cosmetics are going to be a little bit more down than the usual. They're not going to maybe spend more on the ortho services unless it's really, really needed, or they're not going to spend money necessarily on the implants unless it's really needed. Well, we'll see. We're hoping that 2025 people are going to be more comfortable with the market and they're going to give their health a little bit more attention and make it happen.
So before we started recording today, you were joking. You're like, you're not going to prep me and give me any questions or topics that we're going to talk about. I said, no, I know that you are better than well equipped to answer all of this. And this has been super informative so far. Here's maybe a challenging question is, as you look back at 2024, is there anything that you wanted to accomplish that you didn't, or anything that you wish had gotten further? Any initiatives that you're still kind of working on that you thought maybe would be completed? There's a couple different ways to think of that.
I think hiring talent as fast as possible has been tough. For whatever reason, people are still very hesitant to go into healthcare, even if we've seen a lot of people coming from the restaurant businesses. But just, I'm not sure, healthcare is very special. It takes people that are very compassionate, are very calm, quiet, because you deal a lot. You deal a lot with patients that are very difficult. Definitely, I don't know, we're trying to do better. I would have wished we were able to do a lot more automation, and that's going to be one of our goals for 2025. I'm actually communicating with Denticon about this to see how we can partner to make sure I can get more things done automatically, because, the repetitive tasks people are not interested to do. And if this is something I can eliminate, I can make talent more interested in doing some of the healthcare positions, make it more fun. And this is what I'm trying to do, is like, I'm trying to eliminate the repetition to attract a talent that is willing to work in a dental office with high volume of patients. I think we could have done more, but I mean, we're already December. I think I wish I have done more, but 2025, I'm looking forward and it's going to be actually our focus on it because we're only going to be opening probably 2, 3 locations. So we're going to focus on automating and focusing on making the talent stuff easier.
Yeah. And you mentioned at the end of 2023, opening kind of 4 offices somewhat towards the end of that year. And this year, getting them stood up and operationally effective was a big focus. So in 2025, you're thinking 2 to 3 offices. How do you determine where to open those? Will they be additional offices in the same communities that you are already operating in? Do you identify new communities that are underserved that you want to go and open up? What was the kind of strategy and approach with how you think about that moving forward?
Yes. So we actually already planning to open Marina, which is next to Seaside. It is a very, very underserved community, like extremely underserved. Actually, our office in Seaside is the only office that takes Dental on the west side. So this office is very overwhelmed. So we decided to open an office which is 10 minutes away, double the size. That is going to go live in March. So this one is already in the works. We should be actually finishing up construction probably beginning January. So the other locations are probably going to be in the Bakersfield area. And usually, I mean, the Novos usually will look at underserved, where we can help the community. And the other thing we look at, where can we get talents faster? Because yes, you can open a location where you actually have a lot of patients waiting. After I don't have providers, if I don't have dental assistant, if I don't have hygienist, expanded functions, I can't operate efficiently to even see these patients. And this has always been our biggest burden in the company, is finding talents to basically just fulfill the needs of the community, because we have a lot of needs to help the patient. And just, I need actually the people at the hands to make it happen. Bakersfield has been a great community for us. I mean, it's a big city. A lot of people actually are leaving LA, going inland, and Bakersfield is a big attraction for them. So we're definitely going to grow at least 1 next year, if not 2. And Marina is already in the works. So we'll see probably up to 3 next year, but it won't be in the new communities.
Got it. When I was in college at Santa Barbara, UCSB, I worked at the Nordstrom there. And a lot of my best customers were from Bakersfield. They would come out to Santa Barbara on the weekends, and I know the Nordstrom is long gone. It's not there anymore. So sad. But now you mentioned automation and you mentioned hiring talent. And I love the notion of, if you can remove some of the repetitive tasks, you can actually bring in better quality and more talented people that are excited to work in an opportunity where they're not just doing admin work the whole time. You can actually focus on the patients and do the things that people become passionate about. You've always been one to adopt new technology, to look for what's new in the marketplace. You've been very open to trying new things. We've been long-term partners with Planet DDS. From a technology perspective, anything you implemented that was helpful in 2024? Anything that you're looking at to potentially implement in 2025?
In 2024, technology-wise, no, I think Pearl, we did it. I don't remember if it was last year or beginning of 2024. I don't think we automated anything. I think we subcontracted a lot of things that are, again, repetitive, that you always have to call, follow up on claims, things like that. We mainly send this to a third party to take care of. But 2025, I'm actually hoping to automate a lot of tasks under AR, which is the revenue cycle, because this is where mainly you're posting the same amount of money. You're posting for the same reason. And when you're posting just like, I don't know, $50,000, $100,000, and it's the same thing over and over and over again, I think a robot can do it. And we can assign that same person to do other stuff that we haven't been doing. It's mainly revenue cycle. If I'm able to bring it to AI by end of the year, I think this is a big achievement. Another one is better scheduling. We have to figure out how to do better scheduling with the AI help. There's a lot of, I think, new platforms that are coming out. I mean, I'm a big believer that you can automate anything and everything. It just, you have to see what are the platforms, what the budget is, everything is assigned. And I mean, I don't know, I'm excited if Denticon has anything to automate. I'll be the first one to enroll with it.
I mean, not to go too deep down a Denticon rabbit hole here, but have you seen the roadmap for 2025 with all of the different things that are being released on the RCM side?
I have seen it, I think 3 months ago. I have not seen it recently.
So there's going to be automated eligibility verification, automated claims attachments, lots of automation taking place, better 35 reconciliation, all sorts of cool stuff. So,
Love them all.
yeah. And you'll just be raising your hand like, I'll do that. I'll do that. And are you still using Pearl and radiographic AI?
Yes, we are.
And we're also adding a dashboard inside Denticon, which is the Pearl practice intelligence piece that you can see front and center when you log in, that shows you all of the potential treatment plan opportunities, reading the x-rays from everybody that's on the schedule that day, which will be a pretty cool enhancement.
I actually asked our account manager about this, if Pearl has a second analytics module, but we're still trying to figure out. Is that launched or this is something in 2025?
It's launching. It's in beta right now. We have a few clients that are using it, like Peak and Onsite are currently using it. So yeah, so soon for you. So separate from all of that, we'll get off the Denticon stuff for a second, but the scheduling, when you talk about like, I would love to have tools to help with scheduling. I know scheduling, I've heard it referred to as like the dragon in the office because it's like almost impossible to tame. It's very hard because you're dealing with humans that have busy schedules on the other side as well. And then you have all of your staff and your providers that are going to anticipate trying to take care of these patients that oftentimes cancel or reschedule or otherwise. What are some of the things that you think would be helpful from the scheduling from a technology standpoint?
It's mainly understanding. Scheduling is complicated because you have to see how your patient is behaving and you have to get the dentist skills and somehow try to mix them together. And right now we do that just by visually seeing a pattern on the schedule or build different templates and trying different things. It is not a solution I have today, but with something that I would love to say like, hey, this is me. I want to see a dentist. You just spit out 3-4 availabilities. And based if I am someone that I'm placed in the good demographic, you can decide if I'll be showing up or not. And this is how you control the schedule. I don't have the right formula.
No, there's some of that coming out, which is really cool. It's AI driven and it will be predictive scheduling. It's partners that can work with it. But yes, where you can actually determine based off a whole slew of factors. Like, so if you're my dental practice, I reschedule all the time because I have travel all the time.
You're not a good patient.
I'm not. I'm terrible. Although I did get a text message today and they said, hey, we can see you today at 6. And I called so fast. I was so excited because I was scheduled for February now because I had to cancel last week, but I get to go in. Anyhow, I would be the patient that they say, you booked Mike on the schedule. You need to book somebody else also. Double book this guy because like he is currently at like a 10% show up rate. He always calls 3, 4, 5 days before when he knows that something pops up and changes schedule. So there will be an ability based off of AI and a whole bunch of different factors to give alerts like this is a patient you should follow up with again, or this might be a patient that you want to double book, just like the airlines do, which I know if you don't have status, it's not a pleasant experience. If you get to the airport and you get bumped from a flight, but they do that because they recognize that there is some percentage of people that never show up. Now, this will be a smarter method of identifying who will or will not show up based off a whole slew of criteria. It could be demographics, it could be age, could be marital status, it could be their recent track record and history, but the AI will figure it out. So that's something that should be coming out, not necessarily driven through us, but there's a lot of partners we're working in that are working on some of those things, which could be a neat solution because I imagine that that is one of the most challenging parts of running a dental practice.
Yes. Well, you let me know. I'd be interested to contact them all.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about hiring and bringing on good talent. We talked about that the first time we spoke in episode 1. Hiring has been a hot button issue since COVID in dental at this point. Are you seeing things get any easier? And have you used any outsourced solutions to bring in staff to work in particular days if you needed to have somebody kind of like on a temp purpose? And what are your overall views right now of the market as it relates to hiring?
So if we have used temp agencies, we tried. It was not successful. And mainly because the values that we are training our employees to have is not there because you're someone that just fill in whenever it's needed. So it just didn't work for us to do temp. Usually when we need people, we almost need them every day, full-time basis. It's very difficult for us to fill a position just on emergency basis unless we call our previous staff or we call our previous doctors and we ask them to help us in a particular situation. But unfortunately, it's not something that works for us. In any area, it's different because you have a bigger pool to pull from, but we're not in these areas. Talent has been an issue. I think COVID made it very, very difficult. A lot of good providers pulled out of dental. Obviously, because of the contamination rate that could be higher. Is it getting better? I don't know. I don't think so. 2024 has been tough to hire people. So we've been hiring a lot of entry level and training them. It takes time. Every dental assistant receptionist takes 3 to 6 months to actually get them to start doing the work efficiently. But if you at least have someone that knows what dentistry is, it's faster. We have a lot of people that don't even know what dentistry is. I have people that are scared. They go in, we explain the position, they go, they see blood, they get scared. They don't want to talk to patient, they're scared. They don't want to hold the suction, they're scared to hurt the patient. It's a difficult career. It's a nice one though. You can put a smile back on someone's face and they're proud of their smile, but it takes someone that has a big heart because it is not easy. It is not easy to work with patients, not easy to work with provider neither. It takes someone fast paced. It takes someone compassionate, kind. And you work with what you have available, but it's tough. Is 2025 going to be better? I'm hopeful. I hope it will. I don't know how. I was actually having a conversation with the county director in the San Luis Obispo last week. She's actually one of our patients. And I've been telling her, I need help from the county advertising your cities. You have to reach out to the provider. You're the healthcare, public healthcare. Go advertise your city that it's fun to work here. You have access to this, you have access to that, and we will support them. But listen, they realize it's an issue. If they can or cannot do something about it, I have no idea. But we're trying our best to have as many people as we can, and we'll see how it goes.
So you brought up a good point, and that is that when you bring on new team members, that it can take anywhere from 2 to 6 months to get them up to speed. So it becomes really important to keep them, especially if they are good and strong and you've had a great hiring process and you're happy with those members of the team. What are some of the ways that you build culture and continue to work on having good retention of your employees?
2 things I can tell you after working a very long time in dental. It's fair you take care of your employees. If they have issues, you try to work around your schedule. No one is going to be perfect at the end of the day. We don't let go people if they have an emergency or they don't come in one day. I know it's hard, but we try because again, you're going to let go this person. The next one may not even be better. So we try to work with them around their family situation. We try to accommodate. We spend a lot of money on their continuous education and we make it fun for them to work. It's very stressful to work in healthcare overall, medical, dental, or any specialty. I think it's very rewarding, but it's difficult. And patients, they underestimate dental. They think, oh, well, it's an easy job. You should do your job perfectly fine. And you should be super happy. You should be super excited. And you should thank me for coming over. But at the end of the day, it's part of your body. You have to take care of your mouth because if not, you're going to have a lot more issues. But not many people understand that. But I think you have to pay well. You don't have to pay them double or triple, but you have to offer some space that they can live comfortably. Because if they're struggling, yes, they could love it. But at the end of the day, if you have a family, you're going to need money because everything now is super expensive. And I think it's going to be even more expensive. And you have to unfortunately adapt and provide more to your employees. So, to be honest, yes, we are a DSO, but we are a small business. Even with that, we offer all the benefits we can. We provide monthly bonuses based on performance. We try to expand our net to even give them the opportunity to make more money. But sometimes we have a cap and sometimes we try our best. So I think between having a good compensation module, I wouldn't say extremely good because that's not even something we can provide in those cities, but it's something comfortable, something that they can do a good life, having a fun environment and being aware of their situation and working around it if needed. They appreciate that. And to be honest, between all our locations, our turnover is very little. And usually, if your office managers have been there since the beginning and they're only moving on because they're growing into a different position, people see that. Like, honestly, we've been there for, I mean, it's going to be almost 6 years actually in January. I've heard people that have been there for more than probably 20 or 30 people that have been there for 5 years. And it's good. I mean, not talking about ourselves. We think, or I think we are a good employer. However, I'm very efficient. I'm very fair. Like we ask people to be efficient as well. We ask them to be kind to patients. And sometimes people don't want to do it anymore. A lot of hygienists, for example, that they've been doing it for 20 years when COVID hit, it doesn't matter if my employer is good or bad. I just don't want to do it because I just don't want the exposure anymore. And regardless, I think in dental, they had the less exposure than other specialties, but just people just don't want to deal with it. So, but we'll see how it goes.
So we'll wrap up here in just a minute. I want to be conscious of your time, but do you have any formalized process of entering a new year? Either like from a personal perspective or from a work perspective, do you put much thought into resolutions, goals, or reflections of the past? Or is it like, hey, look, I'll think about it a little bit and we're just going to roll into 2025 here. We know what we have to do. We have our goals, not big on the resolution piece. Is it a meaningful time of thought, reflection, and goal setting? Or is it just kind of like roll over into another calendar year?
I think it's a mix of both. But no, we have a hard stop, usually beginning in January, where we say, okay, let's reflect on what we did good in 2024. What are the things that we want to achieve in 2025? I mean, one of the most important thing is growth, right? Because usually growth starts happening in Q4. So you can see the effect in mid of 2025. So a lot of those decisions of the growth of 2025 are taken towards the end of 2024. But when you speak about operations, or if you speak about turnover, or if you speak about a lot of fun things that we do around Thanksgiving and Christmas, it's usually, I mean, I reflect about it. I reflect about everything I do on a daily basis. I reflect about things at the end of the year. Okay, what have I done in 2024? What are the things that I want to continue doing? What are the things that I think I should not do? But even on our executive level, we stop and we take a moment of, okay, that is a lot of fires maybe to put out, but it's time to say, okay, we're going to take a day, think about it, and see what's our direction. Is it still aligned with, I don't know, what we want to do within 5 to 10 years? I think it's important because I think you need to reset at what point and say, okay, I'm okay with this. I'm not okay with this. And there are things that you're going to roll over from the year before. I mean, you don't have a choice. But no, you're going to have a lot of a very good reflection session to do because now we really have to start looking into more automation to see how we can use our talent different because we don't want to overwhelm people. We're trying to see how we can use everyone's time efficiently, but at the same time to have some fun. I think 2024 has been very stressful for everyone. And most of the people, you see someone that is not happy at work, but when you come down and talk to them, it's like, I just have a lot of personal issues I'm dealing with. I just want this year to be done so I can start fresh. And some things you can do at work to help them. Sometimes you cannot help them. They just have to make it happen on their own. So I think it's a mix of both. And I'm really, really looking forward for a great 2025. And I really wish that everyone is going to have a great year as well.
Yeah, me too. You said something that I think is really important in that last piece. And it's not just about what you want to do the next year, but it's like, what should we stop doing? And I think that's a great way to frame it that a lot of people don't consider because we're always thinking, what are our goals going to be? What do we want to accomplish? But in order to accomplish all of that, oftentimes you have to stop doing other things that are not providing the output or the results that you're looking for. So I like that a lot. We'll wrap up here. I know you're going to be spending Christmas up in Canada. Are you going to be back in Santa Barbara for New Year's?
Actually, I'm going to be back on December 31st, 11:59 p.m.
11:59 p.m. All right. Well, I'm going to be in Santa Barbara for New Year's too. I don't know if we're going to leave on New Year's Day or not, but maybe we can grab a coffee if we're still around. So thank you so much. Appreciate you very much. And it was a pleasure, as always.
Awesome. Happy holidays and Happy New Year, and travel safe. That's the most important thing.
Yes, you too. All right. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you. See you.
The Dental Economist Show is brought to you by Planet DDS, home of Dental OS. To find out more about how cloud-based dental software by Planet DDS helps unleash dentists and their staff to focus on patient care, visit www.planetdds.com. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes by following wherever you listen to podcasts. And thank you for listening.